Hey guys, more Torcus here. So in this video, we are checking out some more of the Empires of the Ascended new cards that are coming to Legends of Runeterra. We have been catching up with all of the cards that I haven't reviewed yet because I am pretty far behind on the card reviews. But we are checking out these ones today. These are the Predict cards, probably giving us an idea at Zillion. Although I feel like Azir is probably the last champion to be revealed, so I think Zillion's probably gonna be in one of the next expansions in the set. And these are just getting some extra Shurima cards in the pool while we have the chance to do so. So let's just dive right in and check them out. So here we have some landmarks. It seems like Shurima is going to have quite a few landmarks. And they also have the countdown effect. This one is Preservarium, 2 mana landmark. When I'm summoned, draw 1, cooldown 2, draw 1. Or countdown 2, draw 1. So the initial effect is 2 mana, draw 1. 2 turns later, you draw another one, so it's draw 2. After that, I think that'll be pretty good in any slower deck. I don't think you feel too bad about just playing this on turn 2. It means you're not banking any spell mana that turn, but the extra card draw will matter in a lot of cases, and if you are in one of these slower archetypes. I don't know how many control slower Shurima decks are going to happen. You might need some of that extra early tempo in perhaps too many of these Shurima decks. But in the case where you're not in that situation, I think this will definitely be in your deck. I think it will be worth to get that double cycle. And your landmark's probably not going to die before the countdown, so it's not really a problem. Even in the late game where you might not have enough time to make it to the next 2 turns from then immediately, getting the 1 draw will be enough for the situation. It's still cycling you, and in your later mana turns, the mana that you're spending to draw the 1 will hopefully not have too much of an impact to the point where it's putting you back too hard. So I think it'll be really good. Then we have Ancient Preparations. This is a 1 mana landmark. Play Predict. Predict is an effect where you look at 3 cards in your deck, and you shuffle the deck and put that card on top. So it'll be your next top deck. Countdown 2. Summon a Clockling. The Clockling is a 1 mana 2/2. So you're playing this on 1 and you're getting your Clockling on turn 3. You get to effectively find whatever you're going to need that game early on so that you'll have it ready for later. Maybe even grab your 2 mana play that you want to play on turn 2 right after this. You're giving up a bit of tempo on turn 1 for sure. But if you have the right cards in your hand for your matchup because you did do that prediction, it should help quite a bit. And by the time you get this blocker on turn 3, you should be still pretty happy to have it by then. So I think it looks like a very solid card. I think in any deck that's, again, pretty slow, similar to the other deck, you'll be pretty happy with it. And honestly, just a lot of decks would be happy just to get that early prediction and be able to set up their future turns. Especially the mono Shurima deck, I feel like being able to predict will ensure that you get that consistency to get your champions leveled up on time and so forth. So it'll definitely see some play in some Shurima decks, in my opinion. Then we have Promising Future. A 4-mana slow speed spell. Grant an allied landmark. My countdown completion effect activates twice. So obviously these two it doesn't really pair well with. Drawing an extra card for 4 mana, no thank you. Getting an extra Clockling for 4 mana, no thank you. But there are other landmarks that you can play this with. You could potentially play this with some of the Frozen Frostguard guys in the Lysandre decks, where you can get double 8/8s the first time you trigger one, which if you play the Draklor guy or whatever, you'll be getting 2 8/8 overwhelms on turn 5, which is not bad. You're adding 4 mana to get another 8/8 overwhelm. Definitely a good deal. You can pair it with the landmark that lets you get a 5/4. That works too. But especially when you grant this to a landmark, Talia actually copies the landmarks with her play effect. So if you copy a landmark that has this effect on it, then you're effectively doubling the double. And now you have quadruple the effect, which is really, really sweet. That can build a gigantic board very, very quickly. So I think this might work. It's a bit slow, but the combos are definitely there. It'll have to be a Talia deck, I think, for it to matter. And even then, it will have to line up with things properly so that you do have landmarks that you do want to trigger when you have this. Within like 1 turn of the countdown normally is when you want to be playing this. I think it'll see some play in Talia decks. If Talia is viable, then you'll probably want to be playing a lot of the, or at least some of the landmarks that summon things. You can even play this with the Stasis statue from the Zanya's Hourglass, whatever. So yeah, in Talia decks, I think you could afford to run one of these, maybe a couple of these, maybe 3 if you're going really ham and trying to go really crazy with the landmark synergy. But generally speaking, I think maybe 1 for some extra added effect and combo ability might be worth. Beyond that, it's probably not going to be around too much. Then we have Khahiri the Returned. This is a 6-mana fearsome 4/4. When I'm summoned, create a copy of me in your deck. When you see me in a prediction, grant all allied copies of me everywhere. +2/+2. So you get the buff just by seeing him. You don't have to pick him from the prediction, but just by seeing him, all copies of him will get buffed. And every time you're playing him, you'll get a new one back. It's a pretty slow idea. You could do a pretty hardcore predict deck, but even then, I'm not sure this is enough of a payoff for that. Just to be playing this over and over and predicting multiple times. It's not even that every time you play it, it's getting bigger. It's every time you predict it, it's getting bigger. And that does mean that the first time you play him, it's probably going to be bigger. But it also might mean that later on in the game, he's not growing as much as he did earlier in the game when you were dropping a lot of your cheap prediction cards. There is a really cool idea that I heard to play this with War Mother's Call, and it summons itself infinitely because it continues to shuffle itself and then summon itself and shuffle itself and summon itself. So, you know, every turn you'll get a new copy of Khahiri on the board, which sounds really, really powerful. As long as your opponent doesn't have some way to, finish you off through them, like straight to your Nexus, or they don't have some sort of combo finisher, deck removal, or whatnot. So yeah, I think it sounds like a cool concept. I don't think it's super viable, but I think it'll be a really cool meme idea. And you could definitely try that, and it would counter some strategies pretty hard, for sure. So definitely a cool one. We have Khahiri the Student, the younger version of Khahiri there. 3 mana, 3/3. When I'm summoned, grant me +1/+1 if you've predicted this game. So 3 mana, 4/4. You have to have played either Ancient Protections on 1, or Ancient Preparations on 1, or Chronomancer on 2, in order to get this on turn 3. Or Ancient Preparations on 2, either way. But I don't know if it's enough of a payoff. It's certainly not really a tempo deck. I don't think the stats are going to be pushing super hard or mattering super much. Maybe if you don't have much else to play, then you'd play this. But I can't really see that being the case. So I think it's fine. I think it might be like your, last choice when you're filling out the last few cards of your deck when you don't have anything better to put in your deck, and you just happen to be running a bunch of Predict in your deck already. But beyond that, it's kind of meh. It's kind of whatever. I don't think it'll be that special. And then we have Xenotype Researchers, 3 mana, 3/3. When I'm summoned, grant 3 random allies in your deck +3/+3. This has a lot of combo potential. You can run less units in your deck to increase the chances of hitting each one. So you can, really pare it down so that you can guarantee the stats are hitting exactly what you want them to hit. And then once you draw into those things, you can get the full effect and feel really good about what you did with it. So I like it a lot. I love stat buff cards, and this is definitely one that does that. It has clear synergy with Predict, because you can try to predict, so you can put whatever the buffed cards are on the top of the deck. But outside of that, if you hit champions, you can potentially tutor them out with either Entreat or the new tutor card for Shurima, which you're already in Shurima, so that's entirely possible. So I think this will be a very strong card in some decks, whether it's like all in on leveraging this card, or just wanting a 3-drop that's going to push their advantage later on once they've drawn a little bit more. Maybe a Predict deck or whatnot. I think it's going to be a powerful card for sure, and you can expect to see this in a few decks in the coming expansion. And then the last card we have here is Aspiring Chronomancer, 2 mana, 2/3, play to Predict. Pretty average, pretty normal. It just predicts on a pretty good body for 2 mana. If you want to be increasing your consistency in finding certain cards and you need a 2-drop, this will be perfect for you. So I think this will probably fit into a decent amount of Shurima decks. If they need a 2-drop, then predicting will be enough of a reason to be running this one. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching. I always appreciate it. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Comment down below what you think of these new predict cards and how they're going to do in the coming expansion. And please subscribe if you'd like to see more of my content in the future. And I'll see you guys in the next one.